You are sitting in your favorite recliner, watching the evening news. The commercial break comes on, and you decide to walk to the kitchen to grab a glass of water. You push yourself up out of the chair. In that exact fraction of a second, the world tilts. Your vision tunnels, fading to black around the edges. A profound, terrifying wave of lightness washes over your head. You instinctively grab the arm of the chair and freeze, holding your breath, waiting for the floor to stop dropping out from underneath you. 10 seconds pass. The blood slowly returns to your head, your vision clears, and you let out a nervous chuckle. You shake your head, walk to the kitchen, and tell yourself the exact same lie millions of other seniors tell themselves every single day. I just stood up too fast. I guess I'm just getting old. But what if I told you that this daily fleeting sensation is not a harmless quirk of aging? What if I told you that your brain is actively, desperately sounding an emergency alarm? For adults over the age of 60, chronic dizziness, lightheadedness, or sudden unsteadiness is arguably the most dangerously ignored medical symptom in the entire world. We dismiss it as dehydration. We blame it on needing new eyeglasses. But in the medical community, we view unexplained dizziness as a glaring, bright red flashing light. It is the immediate physical sensation of your brain suffocating. It means that for whatever reason, fresh, oxygenated blood is failing to reach your most vital organ. And ignoring that failure can leave you entirely unprotected against a massive, life-altering stroke, a catastrophic fall, or a sudden cardiac arrest. Today, we are going to expose the terrifying truth behind the dizzy spell. We are going to look under the microscope at the complex electrical and plumbing systems of your body to understand exactly why your brain is being starved of oxygen. We will uncover how your daily prescription pills are literally trapping blood in your legs, how an invisible, chaotic heartbeat can cause you to faint without warning, and why a brief moment of clumsiness could actually be a microscopic brain bleed. Finally, I will give you the exact step-by-step protocol to decode your dizziness at home and demand the life-saving tests you need before it is too late. Before we decode the complex neurology and cardiology of this terrifying symptom, I must issue my standard, critically important medical disclaimer. This video is intended strictly for educational purposes. I am a doctor, but I am not your personal physician. The cardiovascular events and neurological deficits we are about to explore are based on extensive, peer-reviewed medical science. However, dizziness is incredibly volatile. If you experience dizziness accompanied by chest pain, slurred speech, facial drooping, or a severe thunderclap headache, you must hang up the phone or close this video and dial emergency services immediately. Do not ever use the information in this video to abruptly stop taking your prescribed medications. Use the knowledge I'm sharing with you today to educate yourself, to understand the raw mechanical failures happening inside your body, and to become a fierce advocate for your own survival. Then, take this knowledge directly to your primary care provider or your neurologist and demand a serious, thorough investigation. To understand why dizziness is so dangerous, we first have to clarify what type of dizziness you are actually experiencing. The English language uses the word dizzy to describe two entirely different biological crises. The first type is vertigo. Vertigo is the distinct sensation that the room is physically spinning around you, or that you are spinning while standing perfectly still. If you are lying flat in bed, and you turn your head to the left, and the entire bedroom seems to violently rotate like a carnival ride, you likely have vertigo. This is almost always caused by a mechanical issue inside your inner ear. Tiny calcium crystals getting dislodged and floating in the wrong canal. It is deeply nauseating and terrifying, but it is generally a localized ear problem, not a heart problem. The second type of dizziness, and the focus of our life-saving discussion today, is cardiovascular lightheadedness. This is not the room spinning. This is the sensation of faintness. It is the feeling that you are going to pass out. Your vision might dim, your legs might feel like heavy lead, and you might feel a sudden cold sweat. This type of dizziness is called presyncope. It means your brain is experiencing a critical, acute drop in blood pressure and oxygen. This brings us to the first and most common, deadly cause of this sensation: orthostatic hypotension. To understand this, you have to appreciate the profound physics of gravity. When you are lying down or sitting in a recliner, your heart has a very easy job. It does not have to fight gravity to push blood up into your brain. Everything is on a level playing field. But the moment you stand up, physics violently attacks your circulatory system. Gravity instantly pulls roughly 1 entire liter of blood down into your legs and your abdomen. To prevent you from passing out every time you stand up, your body relies on a brilliant instantaneous reflex. Microscopic sensors in your neck, called baroreceptors, instantly detect the drop in blood pressure. They fire a lightning-fast signal to your brain. Your brain immediately commands your heart to beat slightly faster and, crucially, commands the blood vessels in your legs to tightly constrict. By squeezing the blood vessels in your legs, your body violently forces the blood back up against gravity, ensuring your brain receives an uninterrupted supply of oxygen. In a healthy young adult, this entire process happens in a fraction of a second. You never even feel it. But as we cross into our 60s and 70s, this brilliant reflex begins to degrade. The sensors in your neck become stiff. The blood vessels in your legs lose their elasticity. But the absolute greatest destroyer of this survival reflex is not aging. It is polypharmacy. It is the massive cocktail of prescription pills you take every single morning. If you take a beta blocker like metoprolol, you are taking a drug specifically designed to stop your heart from beating faster. If you take a calcium channel blocker like amlodipine, or an alpha blocker for your prostate like tamsulosin, Flomax, you are taking drugs specifically designed to force your blood vessels to stay relaxed and wide open. So let us look at the catastrophic collision. You are sitting down, full of medications designed to lower your blood pressure. You stand up. Gravity violently pulls the blood into your legs. Your neck sensors scream for help, but your heart cannot beat faster because the beta blocker is holding it back. And your leg vessels cannot squeeze the blood back up because the alpha blocker is forcing them to stay open. The survival reflex completely fails. Your blood pressure crashes through the floor. Your brain is instantly starved of oxygen. You experience profound, terrifying dizziness. If the drop is severe enough, you will experience full syncope. You will black out and collapse. For a senior, a syncopal fall is a devastating medical event. Passing out and hitting your head on the edge of a coffee table or a tile floor frequently results in traumatic brain hemorrhages or shattered hips, carrying a massive mortality rate. I treated a patient named Robert. Robert was 72, a retired engineer. He was taking lisinopril for his blood pressure, and his urologist had recently added tamsulosin to help him urinate. Robert started getting incredibly dizzy every time he stood up from the dinner table. He ignored it for 2 weeks. One evening, he stood up quickly to answer the doorbell. He took 3 steps. His vision went entirely black, and he collapsed, fracturing his orbital bone and suffering a severe concussion. The combination of those 2 drugs had completely eradicated his body's ability to fight gravity. He did not fall because he was clumsy. He fell because his pharmacy profile was actively working against his brain's oxygen supply. If you get dizzy every time you stand up, you must demand a rigorous, uncompromising medication audit from your doctor. The second deadly hidden cause of dizziness after 60 is an invisible electrical storm inside your chest. We must talk about atrial fibrillation, or Afib. Your heart relies on a perfect rhythmic electrical signal to pump blood. The top chambers squeeze, then the bottom chambers squeeze. Lub-dub, lub-dub. But in millions of older adults, the electrical pathways in the top chambers of the heart become scarred and chaotic. Instead of a strong, unified squeeze, the top chambers begin to twitch and quiver like a bag of worms. This chaotic quivering is atrial fibrillation. When your heart is in AFib, it is beating frantically, but it is beating incredibly inefficiently. It loses up to 30% of its pumping power. Because the heart is quivering instead of pumping, your blood pressure erratically drops. The smooth, constant flow of oxygen to your brain is severely disrupted. Many seniors believe that if they have a heart problem, they will feel chest pain. This is a lethal misconception. For a massive percentage of older adults, the absolute only symptom they ever experience when they slip into atrial fibrillation is a sudden, inexplicable wave of lightheadedness, weakness, or feeling like they are going to pass out. You might be walking through the grocery store, feel perfectly fine, and suddenly feel profoundly dizzy and short of breath. You lean on your shopping cart, wait a few minutes, and the feeling passes. You think it was just a dizzy spell, but in reality, your heart just slipped into an electrical storm. And this is where the true horror of AFib lies. Because the top chambers of your heart are quivering instead of forcefully emptying, blood begins to pool and stagnate in the corners of the heart. Stagnant blood does exactly what stagnant blood always does. It forms a solid clot. That clot sits inside your quivering heart. And then suddenly your heart slips back into a normal rhythm. It delivers a massive, forceful squeeze. That squeeze ejects the solid blood clot out of your heart, straight up your carotid artery, and directly into your brain, completely blocking a massive cerebral vessel. This causes a massive, devastating, paralyzing ischemic stroke. The European Heart Journal has documented that undiagnosed atrial fibrillation is one of the leading causes of fatal and paralyzing strokes in the elderly. And the warning sign was not chest pain. The warning sign was that random, inexplicable dizzy spell in the grocery store that you blamed on not eating enough breakfast. If you experience random, unprovoked dizziness while you are simply walking or standing still, You must demand an electrical investigation of your heart. This brings us to the third terrifying mechanism behind adult dizziness: carotid artery stenosis. I call this the neck choke. Your brain consumes roughly 20% of all the oxygen and blood your body produces, despite only weighing a few pounds. That massive volume of blood is delivered almost entirely through two main pipes that run up either side of your neck: the carotid arteries. As we age, just like the coronary arteries in your heart, the carotid arteries can silently fill up with rock-hard cholesterol plaque. Because these arteries are wide, you can develop a 50, 60, or even 70% blockage in your neck and feel absolutely zero pain. But as the pipe narrows, the blood flow to your brain becomes highly compromised. It becomes a bottleneck. Under normal circumstances, you might be getting just barely enough blood to survive. But what happens if you exert yourself? What happens if you walk up a flight of stairs? Or you get angry, and your brain demands a sudden surge of oxygen? Because the carotid artery is choked with plaque, it physically cannot deliver the extra blood volume. The demand exceeds the supply. Your brain instantly suffocates. Furthermore, there is a mechanical danger. If you have significant plaque in your neck, simply turning your head aggressively to check your blind spot while driving, or tilting your head all the way back to look at a high shelf, can physically kink or compress the remaining open space in that artery. You literally choke off the blood supply to your brain simply by moving your neck. You will feel instantly dizzy, you might see spots, and you could easily pass out. I had a patient named Margaret. Margaret was 68 and loved to garden. She told me she had to stop tending to her hanging flower baskets because every time she looked up at the ceiling of her porch to water them, she became so dizzy she almost fell off her step stool. She thought it was an inner ear problem. I took a stethoscope, placed it gently against her neck, and listened. Instead of a smooth whoosh of blood, I heard a harsh, turbulent, rushing sound, what we call a bruit. I ordered an ultrasound. Margaret had an 85% blockage in her right carotid artery. Looking up was physically kinking the tiny remaining hole, starving her brain of oxygen. She was millimeters away from the plaque rupturing and causing a fatal stroke. We sent her to a vascular surgeon to clean out the artery, and her dizziness vanished instantly. If you experience dizziness specifically when you change the posture of your head or when you are exerting yourself physically, you must demand a vascular scan of your neck. Finally, we must discuss the most urgent, catastrophic cause of dizziness that seniors ignore every single day. This is the transient ischemic attack, commonly known as a TIA, or a mini-stroke. We have all been taught the stroke warning signs using the acronym FAST: face drooping, arm weakness, speech difficulty, time to call 911. And this is brilliant public health advice for a massive stroke in the front of the brain. But your brain has a back half too. The back of your brain, your cerebellum and brainstem, is responsible for your balance, your coordination, and your spatial awareness. This area is fed by different blood vessels called the vertebrobasilar system. If a microscopic blood clot forms in your heart and shoots up into the back of your brain, it causes a transient ischemic attack in the posterior circulation. You will not have a drooping face. Your speech will not be slurred. You will be able to raise both arms perfectly fine. The absolute only symptom you will experience is a sudden, violent, inexplicable loss of balance. You will be overcome with severe dizziness. You might find yourself suddenly walking like you are heavily intoxicated, stumbling to one side. You might have double vision for a few minutes. Because you do not have the classic FAST symptoms, you assume it is not a stroke. The clot eventually dissolves on its own within a few minutes or hours. Your balance returns. You breathe a sigh of relief and carry on with your week, believing you just had a funny spell. This is a catastrophic misjudgment. A TIA is not a harmless event. It is a massive, blaring siren warning you that your blood is actively forming clots and your cardiovascular system is actively throwing them into your brain. The New England Journal of Medicine has published terrifying statistics showing that a massive percentage of patients who suffer a silent TIA will go on to suffer a massive, life-ending, paralyzing major stroke within the next 30 to 90 days. The mini-stroke was your one and only warning. By dismissing that sudden severe wave of dizziness as just getting old, you missed the critical window to start blood-thinning medications and save your brain from permanent destruction. I know that this information is deeply unsettling. Dizziness is such a common symptom, and recognizing that it could be the precursor to a stroke or cardiac arrest is terrifying. But the goal here is not fear. The goal is mechanical understanding and total empowerment. I have developed a highly specific, actionable protocol to help you navigate this symptom safely and efficiently. I call it the Dizziness Defense Protocol. These are 4 mandatory steps you must take to protect your brain and demand the right medical care. Step 1. The 3-minute stand test. If you frequently get dizzy when standing up, you need to scientifically document it for your doctor. Buy a digital blood pressure cuff for your home. First, lie flat on your bed for 5 full minutes. Take your blood pressure and heart rate and write the numbers down. Then, stand up straight. Do not move around, just stand still. Take your blood pressure immediately and then take it again exactly 3 minutes after standing. Write these numbers down. If your systolic blood pressure, the top number, drops by 20 points or more, or your diastolic drops by 10 points, you have medically confirmed orthostatic hypotension. You take this piece of paper directly to your doctor. You have handed them the diagnosis. Now they must adjust your medications. Step 2. The pharmacy audit mandate. If you have confirmed a blood pressure drop upon standing, you must gather every single pill you take: blood pressure meds, prostate meds, antidepressants, and diuretics. Empty them onto your pharmacist's counter. Tell the pharmacist, "I am experiencing severe orthostatic hypotension. Which of these drugs, or combinations of drugs, is destroying my blood pressure reflex?" Often, simply changing the time of day you take a pill, or slightly lowering a dose, will completely cure the dizziness without compromising your heart health. Step 3. The carotid ultrasound request. If your dizziness occurs when you exert yourself, when you look up, or if you have a history of high cholesterol and smoking, you must rule out a neck blockage. At your next doctor's appointment, explicitly request a carotid Doppler ultrasound. This is a completely painless, non-invasive 10-minute test where they run an ultrasound wand over your neck to literally look at the blood flow to your brain. If your doctor resists, politely remind them of your symptoms and insist that you want to establish a vascular baseline to prevent a stroke. Step 4. The Afib watch. If your dizziness is random, unpredictable, and happens while you are just sitting or walking, you must hunt for atrial fibrillation. Because Afib can be intermittent, it might not show up on a 10-second EKG in your doctor's office. Invest in a modern smartwatch that has an FDA-cleared ECG function. When you feel a dizzy spell coming on, immediately activate the ECG feature on your wrist. If the watch detects atrial fibrillation, it will record the exact electrical rhythm. You can literally print out this medical-grade PDF report and hand it to your cardiologist, proving beyond a shadow of a doubt that your heart is misfiring. Your brain is the most magnificent, complex structure in the known universe, but it is entirely dependent on a fragile, highly pressurized plumbing system. It cannot survive without constant, forceful blood flow. You have the power to protect it. You do not have to accept dizziness as the inevitable cost of aging. By understanding the profound mechanics of gravity, recognizing the silent threat of a quivering heart, and demanding the correct diagnostic tests, you can intercept a stroke before it ever has the chance to steal your independence. I strongly, urgently implore you to share this video. Send it to your spouse, email it to your siblings, or share it on your community social media pages. Millions of seniors are stumbling around their living rooms right now, blaming their dizzy spells on dehydration, completely unaware that a clot is forming in their heart or their carotid artery is choking off their brain. You have the power to educate them and potentially save them from a massive fatal stroke just by giving them this knowledge. If you found this deep dive into cardiovascular neurology valuable and you want to continue learning how to fiercely protect your health with pure scientific facts, please hit the subscribe button and tap the notification bell. My commitment is to decode the complex medical science and bring you the unvarnished, factual truth every single week so you can make the absolute best decisions for your longevity. Before you click away, please drop a comment down below. Tell me, do you ever feel lightheaded when you stand up out of bed in the morning? And how many seconds does it take for the feeling to go away? I read as many comments as I can, and your real-world experiences help me understand exactly what life-saving strategies I need to research for you next. Use the information I have shared today as a starting point for a serious, informed conversation with your healthcare team. Do not ignore the alarm bells. Advocate for your vital organs. Thank you for your time today. Take care of your brain and take care of your heart. And I will see you in the next video.